And welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show hosted by an NFL player. And on the line, I guess we have a very special guest, because I know that you have Colorado in you. That's where we've been, or at least that's where you've been doing the show for the past month and a half. And your lovely wife is kind enough to join us for a brand new segment. Why don't you go ahead and do the introductions?
Remember that you gave away my surprise. You know, I was going to run away with this beautiful woman, and I had that all set up like it was some special hottie I had on the side, and I was going to say, you spoiled that. It's my wife, people. My wife is the beautiful woman that I would run away with. And I have her on the other line, and I am going to ask her to do something very special for us. So, sweetie, her name is Angie Carriker, and I am going to ask you to do the Peyton Pulse with Angie Carriker, because we live 30 minutes outside of Denver. We are surrounded by Broncos fans. We are pounded with Broncos news. I'm out here for training camp. She is back there with our kids. She's dealing with a lot of stuff, and I'm just asking that she would give us the Peyton Pulse once a week and let us know what's going on out in Colorado, what the news is, and what's going on with Peyton. Would you be willing to do that for your wonderful husband, sweetie?
Oh, you are a wonderful husband, but come on, Adam. Like, I don't have anything better to do than talk about Peyton around here. I'm taking care of your kids. I'm pregnant. I have a cold.
Well,
but for you, since you're in training camp, and I know you're working every day really, really hard to support us, I'm sure I can help you out.
Well, thank you very much, sweetie. I really appreciate it. And you know what? I mean it every time I say I would run away with you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, sweetie. So we can count on the Peyton Pulse with Angie Carriker once a week?
Yes, anything for you.
All right, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you. I'll let you get back to our two little rascals that are running around. And I know you're feeling a little hoarse. You're not feeling too well, so I'll let you go. So thank you very much. Love you.
All right, I love you too.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
So, okay, I'm a little bit confused here. We are going to have Peyton Pulse every week, and that was your lovely bride, and we didn't really get a pulse on Peyton. We still don't know what the heck's going on out there.
Well, you make a great point. And she's very hoarse, and she actually was a little hesitant to come on the air, so I don't want to keep her on too long, because the more she talks, the more hoarse she gets. But we will actually start the news reporting next week. I was just getting her to agree. I was initiating the segment. Come on, let me teach you something about radio here, Chuck. You got to let the fans know what's going on and what we're going to be doing. Gotcha. So we're going to have Angie Carriker with the Peyton Pulse every week, and the news will start coming in next week.
I will say this. That was very crafty of you. That was reminiscent of Jerry Maguire, the way that you really dug in there and acted as an agent, but you tugged on those heartstrings of your wife, and you got her to begrudgingly agree to do Peyton Pulse.
I know. She's so busy taking care of the house and doing everything I don't want to do, and now she's even willing to do this for me. That's just how awesome she is, folks.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you, and admittedly, you are in the middle of 5 of your least favorite weeks of the year at training camp. Would you switch places with her? I mean, pregnant, 2 kids at home, husband away. Would you rather be doing what she's doing, or are you happier playing football?
Dude, I don't know. I'm happier playing football. I'm just saying during training camp is not a lot of fun. Nobody's going to say that it is. For these 5 weeks, that's a tough call. Now, once the game starts, it's a wrap. I want to do what I do, and she can deal with the kids all day, I'd still take football. I would still take football. It's tough. It's part of the job. It's part of what we do.
All right, but you are in training camp, and before we hit the break, we talked about a very special rookie show, for lack of a better word, out in St. Louis, where somebody bared all and amused the heck out of the veterans. What are we talking about here, sir?
All right, so there was a particular individual on the team on the Rams when I was out there. I'm not going to throw his name around. I don't think he would care, but I'm just not going to do it. He's a fairly well-known guy. You would recognize it if I did say his name. But he would, some people are pretty comfortable with their bodies. Some people's not so much. This guy was definitely comfortable with his body. He always had a knee sleeve on. And other than that, he would kind of walk around the locker room just comfortable with his body, shall I put it?
Yeah.
Just kind of bearing it all, just kind of walking around, and he wasn't trying to be rude. He wasn't trying to be intrusive. He wasn't trying to be funny. He wasn't trying to be anything. He'd go get a towel. He'd go get a shirt. He'd You know, he'd go talk to the equipment guys. He'd stand with one foot up on the stool, just having a conversation, just letting it hang, you know. And he wasn't trying to do anything. He was just extremely comfortable. So anyways, we get to the rookie show, and the rookies, what they tend to do is they tend to make fun of coaches and players and people in the building. And that's what's funny about it. So we have the big rookie show at the end, and all the rookies are up on stage doing something, and they're singing and dancing and rapping and doing skits. And in the middle of the skit, has nothing to do with the skit, has nothing to do with anything. The guy walks into our big giant team meeting where we all are, and he's this rookie, and he's got the knee sleeve on, and he is just letting it hang. He is just bearing it all. He just starts walking around the room. He starts chatting with people just like the actual player would have. And everyone, I don't know what the skit was, everyone's just watching him. He's sitting down next to people, crossing his legs, putting one leg up on a chair, just chatting, just nodding, just like this is so matter of fact and not completely weird at all. And then he just sits down, starts watching the rookie show, gets up, gets a standing ovation. And it was the funniest thing I have ever seen. The dude just walking around, walking around, letting it hang, and just imitating the actual player.
Can you imagine anything like that happening here in Washington?
Oh, I think it could happen. There's no player that actually, you know, is that you know, shall we say, free with stuff. But there are certain people that do tend to get made fun of and poked at during these rookie shows, and it tends to be the same people over and over because they're just unique individuals.
Okay, I definitely have my guesses as to who these unique individuals are, and I would say Josh Laribus is probably a character. And he might partake in some shenanigans. No?
Josh is a character. You know, one person who might get mimicked a little bit is Chris Cooley. If you've seen him at practice, he's got on the gray tights that look like the 1940s basketball player. He's got the white socks with lightning and white lightning on the side of it. He might be one of those guys that might get imitated a little bit as well.
Gotcha. He definitely is kind of reminiscent of the Will Ferrell character when he was playing basketball. That's kind of what his shorts reminded me of.
Yes, absolutely.
I was really taken aback by that yesterday when I was out there at practice, and everybody's, you know, wearing regular Redskins shorts. They got their numbers on it, but nope, not Chris. He's coming out in these booty gray sweat shorts.
Yeah. The movie was Semi-Pro.
That's right.
Is the movie you're
Good
referring
pull.
to.
Good pull.
And it definitely caught the attention of many players. But, you know, Chris, he simply said, if I'm not out here having fun, what am I out here for?
All right. Well, let's push the pause button on that. Difficult transition, but I definitely wanted to get this in this segment, and that is what is going on up in Happy Valley at Penn State. In 2 minutes or less, and this is just strictly a hypothetical question, can you imagine anything like this ever having gone on at Nebraska, and how would that impact you, having been a player and an alumni of that university?
I mean, honestly, I can't imagine it happening in Nebraska, but I couldn't have imagined it at Penn State either. You know, obviously I'm not from Penn State or whatever, but it's just tough. It's a very serious situation. You know, obviously a lot of lives were affected. A lot of lives were not ruined, but just made a lot harder than they ever should have been, bad experiences. And, you know, the institution reacted. You know, they fired Joe Pa and they did these things. And, you know, part of me is like, you know, it's justified everything they've done, all the sanctions and everything the NCAA's done. Part of me is like, you know, maybe it's a little overboard with taking down the statue, taking down the wins and stuff like that. I'm really conflicted. But it's just a sad situation for the people that were involved to begin with. If it were to happen in Nebraska, I don't even know how I would feel about it. You know, it's just a very tough situation. I think at a certain point, you got to say enough is enough with the repercussions. But because Joe Pa, you know, I mean, his legacy and everything, you know, he had a great legacy, and it's definitely been tarnished. So.
But, you know, of all the sanctions that were handed down, the punishments against the university, that really kind of got me is that all of the wins from 1998 to 2011 are vacated. And I remember what Evan Royster tweeted out, and he said, so I didn't win a game in my entire college career. How hurtful would that have been to you?
Oh, if that was me, that's exactly how I'd feel. I worked hard for 5 years. I did all this work, and, you know, now it's 0 wins. You know, and I said I'm conflicted because there were so many lives that were just affected by this, and it's hard to, you know, the repercussions need to happen. It's just, you know, you try to make them appropriate.
It is a a very difficult situation, and unfortunately, all eyes are again going to be on Penn State this season, but for the wrong reasons this time. And you know, Bill O'Brien up there, he definitely has his hands full, and I feel for each and every player on that team who had nothing to do with this insane scandal. And yet they are the ones that are paying the price for it right now. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. I've always associated Penn State with Joe Pa and great football, and now I associate it with other things that are way more negative.
I honestly wonder, sitting here next to you, if in our lifetime we will ever be able to think Penn State and football again without thinking about this nonsense.
It'll be a long time. I mean, SMU got the death penalty way back in the 70s, and they're just now getting back to where they can play legitimately pretty good football, so it's going to be a long time.
Not happy at Happy Valley, but we're going to come back on the flip side on 4th and Payne with happier things, and we're going to open up the old mailbag field. Your questions, give our answers, give you an opportunity to ask Adam a little bit more about training camp, what's going on there, and we're going to get in and do our TNA Impact 4 quarters and 120 seconds recap.
We are going to get into a little bit of wrestling because this is a pro wrestling show hosted by an NFL player where we talk football and wrestling, and a weight loss champion is the co-host. And we're going to get into the wrestling aspect of this show, and that is a little bit happier, a lot happier topic to talk about.
And I am happy to say that we have TNA World Tag Team Champion Kazarian on with us in the final segment today. Very pumped about that. Very pumped indeed.
Oh, dude, I'm ecstatic. He's one half of the World Tag Team Champions. How much bigger can you get?
World Champion, Tag Team Champion. We're on a roll here with 4th and Payne. He's Adam Carriker. I'm Chuck Carroll. We'll be right back.